for a while now, and finally, I think I have succeeded. How's it going, chat? Already a super chat from Solan the Lick for 50 hours. V is not gooning to bunny cyber girls. He's just doing his daily tasks. The Kummer Legion will prevail. You're talking about Nikke, right? I got stuck at Mother Whale. It's one of the bosses that you get to the campaign when you hit level 30 or so. You hit chapter 30 or so. And you get stuck a lot, and you keep leveling up your team members, and eventually you get past the boss. And once you get past the boss, you're so overpowered, you just burn through everything. Yeah. By the way, interesting thing with Nikke, right? So it managed to be one of the best sold games on Apple. And Apple is very censorious. Like, anything that has nudity or anything that's risque, it actually bans it. So if a game is on Apple, you kind of know that it's okay. Like, it's safe for work. It doesn't have, any, how should I say, adult content in it, right? Like, Nikke is lewd, but it's not an adult game. And they had like this new promotional thing with a casino, like you're in a casino and you I don't even know the story. I haven't played it yet, the casino storyline. But anyway, it just shows like Nikke's with big boobs and bunny girl outfits, right? And YouTube made it 18 plus. Now that's fair, you know. Like if the dances there were lewd and the suits were tight. But I'm wondering, it's like, why does rap music always get a pass, though, right? Because, like, the wet-ass pussy used to be trending on YouTube. And the type of video games like Nikke used to exist back in the day. Like, it's not something completely new. If you play Mass Effect and you see Miranda with her big ass, that was a thing in Western video gaming. But now, for some reason, everyone is so prudish about anything. And the prudishness is towards video game characters, like fictional characters, like that's the ones that we are very prudish towards. But real people, like, no, OnlyFans is fine, Twitch is fine, bathtub streamers are fine, girls painting their tits are fine, women doing yoga naked on YouTube are fine. Even, like, YouTube changes TOS, and they're having now that if you're having a video of an underage person that is twerking, that's fine. No, provided they're teenagers, I guess. It's like, why though? Like, when did this become a thing? Like, it used to be that real people where you know, like, where the focus was at, and fiction wasn't. I'm generally worried that violence in fiction will be next. Like, this game is too violent. Yeah, we need to dial it back. Like, they already did that with Stellar Blade, right? Like, they dialed back the violence. It's like, there's too much blood in the game. There's two things that most people love in entertainment since ancient Greece, since the theater, right? Thanatos and Eros, like it's what actually makes entertaining fiction, basically tits and violence, right? And now it's like, okay, well, the titty is bad, and violence is bad as well. It's like, okay, well, and then they wonder, like, why is everyone watching anime? It's like, they're not watching anime because anime is so good. They're watching anime because, like, what, are they going to watch Netflix? Doesn't its new body outfits have them wearing vibrators? No, Jesus Christ. If they did that, it would be banned on Apple. No, it's just like, I guess, it's because they already had two bunny girls in the thing. It was Noir and Blanc. And now they're doing an event. And because Noir and Blanc was so popular and people people were trying to get those characters, now they're adding the bunny outfits to other pre-existing characters. Because they pay off YouTube? Probably. I mean, the thing with Wet Ass Pussy video, which was incredibly popular on YouTube, is that... what's her name? Belle Delphine? Like, Belle Delphine actually made a video in which she copied the West Ass Pussy music video, like, frame by frame. Like, literally, just every single shot. She copied that. She got her channel banned, right? So she had to go on Twitter and then complain to Team YouTube. And it's like, hey, I got my channel banned over this. This is not cool. And they looked at it and it was like, oh, she's trolling. Oh, okay. But basically, yeah, I think you're right. I think some people do pay off some big corporations do pay off YouTube in order for their rules to not apply on them. I heard the blood in Stellar Blade was not censored. It was due to the performance versus the detail settings. Well, you know what? I'm willing to believe this. I'm not willing to believe that the costumes weren't censored, because they were. But, like, if this was due to performance settings, alright, fine. I just want to see Bayonetta fly across the screen, jiggle a little bit before exploding. Or a bunch of enemies on sick combos or chicks with swords. Yeah, literally, it's literally what I want. This was the entertainment that I grew up with. You know, I grew up in the 90s, and this was perfectly fine. I mean, Charlie's Angels, for example, is literally that. But, like, for some reason, no, that's bad. Just so you know how bad things are, have you seen The Flash, the TV show? Like, the love interest of the main character, what's her name? Eris, or something like that. I forgot her name. It's like the black chick, right? And, she, like, the actress that plays the role takes a picture of herself and uploads it on Twitter. And she's, like, wearing this shirt that exposes her belly button. But it's still, like, a decent shirt. Like, it's not something that you wouldn't be able to go to church with, right? Like it's, for America, it's a pretty decent shirt. And people were like, wow, that's really hot. Is that Iris? Right, her name is Iris, sorry. People go like, wow, that's really hot. Is, like, Iris going to appear with that in a new episode? And she's like, oh, fuck no. Like, producers wouldn't allow me to wear something like this. Which is interesting, because in the first seasons, like, she's wearing bathing suits, you know, she's wearing all sort of risque clothing in the TV show. Like nothing over the top, mind you, nothing that was extravagant. But at the same time, it was just like, you know, stuff that teenagers wear, I guess. And in the show, like, both the actress and her, like, were over 18. So, like, it's not a problem. But, like, something happened after a couple of seasons that they decided, yeah, you know, like, the Flash himself, the guy, like, he can appear shirtless, that's fine, you know, he can appear buffed up, jacked up, like, that's okay. But the female characters, like, we're going to make sure that they're all the way covered up, and, you know, unfortunately, they can't modify the jawline, they can't make them look masculine, but, yeah. Twitch has been clickbait light for years. Oh my god, like they are struggling with allowing sexuality versus banning it. Because the thing is, like, ever since the Me Too era, they noticed that titty streamers make a lot of money. So they don't really want to drop but at the same time, they don't want the stigma, because Twitch is a family-friendly platform. So they don't want people to say, oh, well, these teenagers, you know, they're taking mom's credit card, using it to buy bits, and using the bits in order to give to their favorite titty streamers. So basically, like, Twitch wants the sanitization. They want to be viewed as safe for work, family friendly. So their cope is that, oh no, like, these girls, they just happen to dress that way. They just happen to do these things. Like, obviously it's not sexual. No, it's just like, yeah, this girl is playing League of Legends in the tiniest corner of her screen, but, like, these massive titties on the camera where the camera is pointing at. No, like, that's fine, you know, it's just how she dresses, you misogynistic pig. How dare you even question that? I just rechecked. The bunny outfit has a pink bunny vibrator clip with cables leading to their panties. What the fuck? No fucking way. Dude, if that's the case, I would be shocked. Unironically, because if that's the case, they would be banned by Apple. Let me check. Where do you see the vibrator, dude? That's a bust of the character. Like, I'm not going to show it on YouTube because obviously I don't want to, you know, get this video. I shouldn't get age restricted, but, like, if the official trailer got age restricted, I don't want to show it on my channel. That's not a vibrator, though. Like, that's her holding her bra. Like, she's holding her suit. So I don't know where you see it. Like, okay, go into Paint and make a circle around it so that I can see what you're talking about. The joke is that the suit is way too small to fit her large cup size. Like, it's fan service, right? Like, it's a joke. So she's got big breasts and she's struggling to hold the bra together, but that's not a toy. That's not a sex toy. That's just. Anyway, right. Like, think about it. If it was, it wouldn't be allowed on Apple. Like this is rated T for teens. Like, it would be rated higher on the ESRB scale. Like, Apple would boot this app off the platform. The idle animation heavily implies that there's a dildo. Look, I'll look at it afterwards. I unironically, like, didn't even notice it. Like, if that's the case, sure. But again, why didn't the SRB just go up? Not if they paid off Apple. No. It's not about paying off Apple. Like, the credit cards would freak out. Right? You'd have MasterCard and Visa pull out. You'd have, like, this massive shit show if that was the case. Like, this is why Apple doesn't allow adult on their platforms, like, especially on the App Shop. Like, so no, I don't think that's the case. The left discourages families, normal sexuality, and traditional values while promoting actual degeneracy. I don't know what the end game is. I don't think it's necessarily about a left-wing versus a right-wing thing. Like, from my experience on the internet, both left-wing and right-wing people are capable of degeneracy. It's just that mostly, like, right-wingers just hide it or they don't want to talk about it. But my publisher, for instance, which deals with adult games, like, he's got the statistics, you know, he's got the numbers, and like, there's a lot of right-wing people that are into some very disturbing stuff. But they just don't talk about it, while left-leaning people are openly about it, you know? So I think, like, that's the thing. But there's also, like, left-wing and right-wing people that are incredibly puritanical. Like, they're hyper-puritanical. There's also, like, a lot of left-wing people that are, you know, men into other men, let's put it like this, like, they're gay, so they do not like anything that has to do with the female form. Like, they find any type of heteronormativity in any fiction, in any art, to the point where they dislike it, and they will make all sorts of arguments to fight against it. The Republican Party does something, or is it just Trump versus the Democrats? Right, so, like, in the United States, things are a little bit difficult in the Republican Party, which is why they're not winning. They're not united. Like, half of the Republican Party is neocons, and they really do not like Trump. But they have to put up with it because, well, that's what the public wants, so they have to do the facade. But there's a lot of Republicans that are called rhinos, which means Republican in name only. And they will side with Democrats most of the time. Like, here's the thing. You will notice that when the Democrats vote on an issue, it's over, especially if it's an important issue. It's almost overwhelmingly that every single Democrat votes on it, right? So you will have, like, not a single Democrat defecting, not a single Democrat voting against it. Sometimes maybe you get one or two, but it's almost like when it's an important vote, 100%, right? With the Republicans, not so much. Like, with the Republicans, you will see like 10 or 20 Republicans voting like the Democrats. Like, it's a lot more common to see Republicans voting with the Dems than to see Dems voting with the Republicans. When are you voting for the EU? I think it's this Sunday, right? So I'm going to go with my wife to vote. We gotta vote for the mayor, and we also gotta go and vote for dude, that's a key change. Is that? No fucking way. We'll talk about it after the stream. Now I'm genuinely curious. Like, I have no idea what. All right, hold on. I'll show you guys. I think I can show it on YouTube if I zoom in. Like, I'm sorry I'm not an expert. Or maybe I shouldn't show it on YouTube. Jesus. Maybe the moderator knows it, then I look like an idiot. It looks like a keyring with a bunny. But if you're saying that it's something else, then I believe you. Like, if it's a... I ironically didn't know. And apparently the Apple moderator didn't know either if they managed to sneak it past the moderation. That's actually kind of cool. Anyway. Where's the chat? I lost the chat. Hold on. I need to click. I need to click ridiculous. Right, since I clicked like a crazy person, I finally managed to find something that I forgot I wanted to talk about yesterday. So I found this post on 4chan about the Witcher, right? And it talks about the Witcher from the first seasons, and it explains literally what's wrong with all these shows. Now, if you watch Witcher, you will see that the Nilfgaardian armor looks absolutely ridiculous, right? So, hold on. I think I can show a picture of this. But this is what the Nilfgaardian armor in the Witcher TV show is supposed to look like. So, the first time that I saw it, I saw it in a clip on Twitter. And I was like, wow, who's the costume design? Like, this is absurd. This looks really bad. I mean, comparing it to stuff that you see in Game of Thrones, even Rings of Power plus Privilege, like, this is really bad. Like, who made this, right? Like, there was a costume creator that decided to do this. A lot of people, like, especially when you go on Twitter and you see these terminally online individuals, what they like to do is consider that this just happened, you know? Like, this was, like, one day, these actors got into these costumes and decided to go on set. But the reality is that, no, this is not what actually happens, right? So, all of these things are designed by a group of people. Like, it's not even one person, right? You got the concept artist that draws it on a piece of paper. And then you have someone that's reviewing that and gives the A-OK. And then it goes to a fashion designer, right? Because the artist just drew what he imagines it, but then the fashion designer has to make it in a way that's practical. And then that gets reviewed, again, by a team of people. And then it gets reviewed by some consultants that have to give the A-OK. And then it goes into manufacturing, and all the while, right? Like, the costume gets reviewed again and again until you have the final version. So there's, like, a group of people that are invested into making this. And the question is, why, though? Like, why? Does it look good? No. Does it look awesome? Does it look badass? No. So why did they do this? Well, apparently, initially they wanted to make something that looks historical. Initially they wanted to make something that looks more akin to what medieval Europe would have as an armor. So they created the designs, that everything was good, that everything was fine. However, the writing team comes in. Now, if you know anything about the writing team from The Witcher, you probably heard articles where it was Henry Cavill and one guy that was actually interested in making entertainment. Like he and that guy read the books. They were interested in adapting the source material on the TV screen. So they wanted to make something that's entertaining. Like, they didn't care about politics or anything like that. They just wanted to make entertainment. So what ends up happening is that the other part of the team is all women, and they're all feminists, right? They all have daddy issues. They're all like, oh, men are bad, the patriarchy, blah, 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 unironically. So they had a meeting where they discussed the armor, and the female writers went on a rant about the patriarchy, and it evolved into something that Nilfgaard is oppressive, and they're literal dickheads, and that's why the armor looks like this. It looks like a shriveled scrotum for an armor. Like, this is the writers that are looking at it, and it's like, well, Nilfgaard bad, we need to show this to the audience, let's dress them in scrotum for armor, and the helmet actually does look like a dickhead. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, I suppose, but is this entertaining, though? Like, does the audience even get in on the joke? Should the Nilfgaard even be treated as a joke? Like, you're trying to create this immersion that this unstoppable empire is coming to destroy this fictional land, which is supposed to be Poland, right? And you're basically trying to do that, but the empire is a joke. So if it's a joke, like, why should the audience take the danger seriously? It's like, does that make any sense, right? And these are the people writing Western entertainment. Thank you, Artemis Fowl. If it is what you say it is, then I'll concede. Um, and people wonder, it's like, why is everyone watching anime? And the answer is they're not watching just anime. Now South Korean TV shows are becoming very popular. Squid Games was the latest one, but there's other ones like Sweet Home on Netflix. Like Netflix, I don't know why, but they do show like South Korean stuff, and it's incredibly popular. Because this is what Western entertainment constantly provides. Like zero creativity, right? Like we're not talking about an original show. They took The Witcher out of all things. And the first thing that they did, instead of like focusing on the video games, which the video games were what made The Witcher popular. I mean, the book was popular in Poland, but like outside of Poland, most people heard about The Witcher from the video games. And the first thing they say is like, no, we're actually not tying it to the video games at all. Like, we're focusing on the books, which is like, okay, fine, your choice, but at least focus on the fucking books. No, they're not. So, now they ruined that. They're ruining Rings of Power plus Privilege. They're ruining now Star Wars, of all things. Like, I listened to a couple of talk shows and interviews from Star Wars, and they're basically saying how, well, of course, the Force is female, but the main character has like two mothers, and those two mothers are having a child, and the Force is actually female, like the Force has pronouns now, and it's like, why would I want to watch that, right? And you have one of the actors come out and say, oh yes, I love Star Wars since I was a kid, I like seeing Anakin Skywalker destroying the Death Star. And I'm like, wow, I'm pretty sure you really must have loved Star Wars, right? Of course, representation matters. Representation is important. Everyone wants to see themselves, which is why you don't get to see a white guy. Like, the only white person is this prisoner that talks for a little bit. And, like, I don't mind if you make if you make a movie without white people. Like, that's fine. I grew up with Chinese kung fu movies. Like, they were the shit when I was growing up. However, I knew that they were Chinese kung fu movies with only Chinese people in it because they were made in China, right? And it wasn't that the casting director was mean-spirited. It wasn't that he was trying to push for an agenda. It was, no, he's telling a story that takes place in China and he's casting Chinese people. Which is fine, if you make a story in the United States and, you cast, like, various people like that. But when you make a story in medieval Europe, right? And you go out of here. And by the way, another part with Star Wars that really pisses me off is that there is actually no more diversity. So what I mean by diversity is that in Star Wars and in many other sci-fi shows like Star Trek, one of the coolest things is the aliens, right? Because that's why you watch sci-fi. You watch sci-fi because you want to see aliens. So you want to see like all these fictional characters, all these fictional races that don't exist in real life. Because it creates immersion. It brings you into this different world. Like, remember, when Luke Skywalker goes with his mentor into this bar, and when you enter the bar, there's almost no humans there. Like, all of the other people are aliens. Star Trek, and when you watch the new Star Wars, only humans. Just like only humans. And of course, they make a big deal out of, oh yeah, but like this human is an Asian, and this human is black, and this human is like, yeah, but it's a sci-fi show. It's a sci-fi show. Why not add aliens? I remember even in Star Trek, like Star Trek used to do that, right? It had Vulcans, it had Klingons, it had like all these sorts of different races. And when you watch Star Trek Discovery, only humans. Oh yeah, by the way, the main character is black. Who fucking cares? I don't care if she's black. Like, where's the aliens? Where's the cool shit? You watch Star Trek The Next Generation, like, you got Data, right? He's an android. So, like, that was unique. It's like, wow, this is an interesting character. All of a sudden, it drags your attention, right? It's more interesting than if he was black. No, like, Data is an android. Like, wow, what makes him tick? How does it... Then you got the Klingons. You got, and by the way, Worf is black, but that doesn't what defines him. Like, you're not interested in Worf because the actor is black. You're interested in Worf because he's a Klingon. And you're like, wow, well, what is his culture? Like, wow, a Klingon allied with the Federation. Like, that's interesting. Let's see how it works. You got LaForge. LaForge is a human, but like, oh, he's blind. But he's got like this device which allows him to see the magnetic spectrum much better than normal human eyes. You got this chick, Deanna the Troi, which is like an empath, right? So like, she can sense emotions. She can sense what people are feeling and stuff. Like, that was interesting. You don't get that shit anymore. You don't get that shit anymore. Everything now is a human in space. So, like, this is a human, but he's Asian. This is a human that is black. It's like everything takes place in California. We live in a constant state of California. Whatever fiction we go, whatever we watch, whatever we consume, we're in California. And this is why I just can't get into modern entertainment anymore. Ah, Dios mío. Ferengi are space Brits? Man, the Ferengi did nothing wrong. Ferengi were actually kind of pretty fucking cool. Like, they were the only ones with common sense in that universe. People were saying, oh, they're a joke to capitalism. Like, where's the joke? They're wealthy, they're doing good, they're happy, they're traveling in space like everyone else. Like, where is the actual joke? The only joke about the Ferengi is the way they look, right? It's how leftists know how to mock people. It's like, oh yeah, well, they're small, they're like goblins, right? Which is pretty much like what they were going for, because a lot of the races from Star Trek are inspired from D&D. So like the Romulans, they're like the Dark Elves, the Vulcans are the Space Elves, and then you got your Klingons, which are the Orcs, and the Ferengis, they're goblins, and the humans are humans. But like, when you look at the Ferengi, like, this is what they were going for. And I'm like, well, why is it so bad, though? Well, why is it so bad to be a Ferengi? Like, okay, their civilization is capable of space travel. Their civilization is needed by the Federation. You know, like, I don't understand. Like, why exactly is it a problem? And by the way, they have more freedom than most of the people from the Federation. Oh yeah, they treat women badly. Yes, that's another thing. They do treat women badly. But again, like, despite all that, like, this is the thing that I love about Star Trek, right? Is the inconsistency of it, because it's obvious that the writer wants to say that if we become leftists, right? If we become leftists, society progresses. Like the philosophy of Star Trek, which I find it incredibly cringe. Like, the shows are good, right? Like, the TV shows, some of them are good. But the philosophy behind it is cringe as fuck. Basically, what they're saying is that human behavior is tied to social advancements, right? So, like, if we can put aside conflict, and if we are peaceful, and we become hippies, and we start loving each other, and we put aside our bigotry, then we progress, right? So then we develop the warp engine, because all of human activity is focused on innovation. And when that happens, we discover space travel, and now we have plenty. The reality is that, no, humans actually discover more during times of war. Like, some of the best and most fast advancements that humanity experienced is during World War I and World War II, right? So, no, that's not the case. But secondly, the writers throw all of that out the window when they introduce the Ferengi. Because, like, the Ferengi, they're not left-leaning, they're not progressives, they're not none of that shit, and yet they do have warp travel, they do travel in space, they do have prosperous societies, they do manage to accomplish everything that the humans do. So how is that a thing? How does that work? But, yeah, it is what it is. No, and it's like, the whole thing with Star Trek is that you wouldn't have people wanting to discover. You would have hedonism. Like, think about it this way. If you have a society where you can get everything you want, to the point where you can even have virtual sex in holodeck with any type of character you want, and it feels just as good, right? So you got like your robot waifus. You can go to the holodeck. You can request your anime waifu over there. You can do whatever you want. Right? You can go and order any type of food you want. You can order any type of drink you want. You can have any type of stuff that you want. And you can travel anywhere. Why would anyone risk their lives going in the universe in order to risk getting blown off or getting assimilated by the Borg? What would the purpose of that be? No, like everyone would leave a hedonistic lifestyle. Like everyone would want to stay home. Everyone would just want to relax and enjoy the holodeck. And they would live a very sedentary lifestyle. It would be a life of stagnation rather than discovery. Because the thing is, like, what actually brings discovery is necessity. And if you don't have any necessity, if you have everything at your fingertips, there is absolutely no reason why you would risk your health and attempt to fuck around and find out. You can get blown off in the holodeck. Yeah, I don't even understand how that works. I guess like the Trust and Safety Council needs to look into that. Yeah, literally, you created heaven, you win the game. Like, you win the game. Heaven is already made. There's no necessity. Like that's the thing that really bothers me with Star Trek. There's really no need for any of the drama. It's like, oh, the Klingons want to expand. Why? Oh, do they lack resources? Fucking give them some of your, what is it? The ones that produce free food. Give them some of that shit. It's like, why do they want to... It's forced. Like, all of the conflicts are forced. Like, you already have plenty. And by the way, as time goes on, like, as the episodes progress, the writers realize, oh shit, we kind of wrote ourselves in a corner. Yeah, like those replicators, yeah, they must need something to replicate, because if we actually created this thing that is offering everything and it's like it solves the shortage problem, then we can't really write any drama. Like we can't have any reason why the Federation is actually trying to colonize new planets. So it is what it is. Yeah, replicators, yeah. The Federation does explore for rare minerals. Yeah, they basically had to write that in. Like, if you watch the previous Star Treks, and if you watch the first seasons of The Next Generation, they don't have that in. Right? Like, the replicators actually function by replicating everything. It's literally space magic. But at some point, they're like, okay, well, we kind of need to have some rare minerals, because otherwise we can't justify any type of conflict. The drama comes from outside forces like the Borg. Even the Borg is poorly written. Like the thing with the Borg is like, okay, well, the Federation overpowers the Borg, right? So why can't the Borg just be subversive and use the Federation against itself? All the Borg has to do is say, you know what? You're right. We do it the wrong way. We just want to join the Federation. How about that? Like, let us join the Federation. Like, we want to apply for membership. And, like, take into account that the Borg is this collective mindset, so, like, they don't really care about the passage of time or anything like that. Like they can devote even thousands of years to this shit, right? So they want to join the Federation, and when they join the Federation, like, one Borg drone is more powerful than any other creature in the Federation. Like, they're smarter, they're stronger, they're faster, they're more agile, like, they don't sleep, right? So you now have Borg joining the Federation. And all they gotta do is to play it fair, and they're like, oh yeah, well, I'm applying for captain position, I'm applying for admiral position, I'm applying for this and this and that. And once they manage to infiltrate the Federation at every single level, which shouldn't be hard to do, because again, they're good at everything, right? Then they attack. And once they attack, like, they shut down all of the defenses, they sabotage, they turn the ships around, they do all of that stuff, and then they take it over. Like, the fact that the writers didn't even think about this is bizarre. That was Picard Season 3. I haven't seen it, so if they did that, that would be smart. How does the collective have a queen? Again, the writers of Star Trek are very inconsistent. Like, they will say something that looks cool, and then they will backpedal and say, okay, well, actually, this doesn't work. So I actually do know why the Borg have a queen. Because I seen an interview with one of the writers, and the writer actually says, it's not easy for the audience to empathize with, to understand a villain of this nature. So we wanted to give a queen so that the audience's focuses on a specific villain. So that the audience, has someone to hate. And I was like, man, that's such awful fucking writing. Like, the Borg was so cool simply due to the fact that they were original. Like, they were a collective. There was no one that you can talk with, right? But they wanted to have this queen in order to, I guess, like, have it genetic, right? Like, have it for the American audience at the time. They needed, yeah, literally, because movie. But like, you know, everything written about the Borg, like, the Borg is the most overpowered shit in fiction, but they had to, again, dial it down. Like one of the things that they did is, okay, they introduced the Borg, and they're these incredibly powerful aliens, right? So they adapt to every type of weapon. Their ships are faster, their ships are stronger. So basically what the Federation does in order to actually damage them is to modify the phaser frequency, whatever the fuck that means, right? Now, we don't know, like, how many frequencies there are, but we assume they're not infinite. In fact, like, in one episode, they say, like, there's a lot of frequencies, but they're not infinite. The problem is that in every single episode, when they're encountering a Federation starship, it's almost like the Borg's adaptability is nerfed back to 0. So they never encountered phasers before, right? So, like, the phaser gets fired, the Borg adapts, and then they change the frequency of the phaser to something else that damages the Borg, and then they adapt, and they change the frequency again. But again, like, this is a TV show. In reality, what should happen is, like, after 5 episodes, after the Borg encounters, like, 100 Federation starships, and they all go through different frequencies, and they all fire different phasers, if the Borg was written the way it was written in the beginning, like, they would adapt to all of them after a while. You know, it would take them a couple of months, it would take them, like, 1,000 encounters, or 10,000 encounters, or whatever the fuck. But after some point, after enough Federation starships were thrown against the Borg, they would adapt to all the frequencies, right? But again, the writers, like, they go like, oh shit, yeah, we kind of written ourselves in a corner because we made these guys too strong, and we still need Picard to win. So we gotta change a couple of things. We gotta nerf them down, you know. We gotta make them a little bit more. Oh yeah, the wormhole aliens. The wormhole aliens were actually kind of cool, you know, but no, sorry, not those ones. The species from liquid space, the wormhole aliens were lame, very lame. There are things the Borg cannot adapt to. That is true, but we're not talking about those. We're talking about specifically the phasers, right? So, like, every single episode, it's like, oh, Borg ship, fire the phaser, pew pew pew. Captain, the Borg have adapted. Oh, change the phaser frequency. Changing phaser frequency. Pew, pew, pew. It's working again, Captain. But we gotta skedaddle. We gotta skedaddle because, oh no, the cube is being activated again. The phasers do not work. Change the frequency. We're changing the frequency again. Pew, 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 pew. You know, it's like, come on. It's just lame. And then at no point did they encounter another frequency that some other starship fired. You know, like it should be like, fire the phasers. Pew, pew, pew. Oh, Captain, the Borg have adapted. The phasers do not work. Change the frequency. Firing again, Captain. Pew, pew, pew. No effect. What do you mean? Did you not change the phasers? Yes, we changed the phasers, but it seemed that Starship CG-472 also used this frequency in a previous battle. Doesn't work. Shit, the Borg have caught up to us while we were fucking with changing the frequencies. Like, keep changing. I keep changing it, Captain. But, like, all of the ones that I tried have been used before. You know, like, that would actually be more dramatic, but it is what it is. I think the point of the Borg is also have to change shield frequency. They don't block. No. See, Bray, you're wrong. Because I thought that too. But they actually mentioned in one episode that once the adaptation has been made, they don't need it again. Like, it's kind of like there was this mutant in X-Men. Also poorly written, but he would basically evolve, right? So if you used fire on him, no, even better than X-Men, Doomsday from Superman, right? So you got Doomsday, and Doomsday, the way it works is that if you kill him with something, he dies, but then he respawns, and when he respawns, he's immune to the thing that killed him. So, like, for instance, if you shoot a pistol bullet in him, like he goes down, but then he revives, and now he's got, like, thicker skin. Now if you try to shoot the same bullet, it ricochets. So now you have to fire a 50 cal. And again, like, you fire the 50 cal, he dies, but then his skin is even thicker as he goes back, right? So now the 50 cal is ineffective. So you try to use fire. And yeah, like, he catches fire, he burns, he dies, But then he revives again, and now his skin is not flammable. Like, he's oozing a substance which is immune to fire. That's pretty much what the Borg is supposed to be like. Yeah, it's kind of like natural selection, yeah. Many TV shows actually had this problem where they would write themselves in a corner. Like, they would write a character which is, not a character. They would write a villain that was so overpowered. Like, this trope, you can actually find it in video games. Like I love this trope. You know, you got like this boss, which is incredibly OP. You know, like, and you're fighting the boss, and he's wiping your party, and it's like, oh my god, what can I do? But eventually you beat him, right? And then you can take the boss in your party, and when you take the boss in your party, he's absolute shit. He's trash tier. Like, he doesn't have access to all his abilities. The ones that he does are nerfed. It's like, oh, goodness gracious. I want V to name a sci-fi universe he can't tear down. To be honest, Warhammer 40k is pretty well written. Like, Warhammer 40k, unironically, before the new books, it's actually kind of hard to tear down. Like, I'm not saying, like, a logical consistency as in, well, how do phasers work? Or what are photon torpedoes? Oh, they don't work that way. Oh, no, the science is bad. No, I'm talking, like, if you established it in the lore. Like, if you say that this is what these races do. Like, this is what these characters do. And these are their abilities. You don't nerf them back down. And I think Warhammer 40k is actually really that good. Stargate is pretty fucking awesome. Now Stargate, I guess, like, the only thing you can shit on, because they never explain it, is the fact that everyone speaks English. But I'm willing to give them a pass. You know, like, every planet they go, regardless where they travel, everyone speaks perfect English. Even when they go to a fucking different galaxy, everyone speaks English. But it's fine, you know, because it's like, I get why they did it. But other than that, no, like, Stargate is actually a really decent universe. Very difficult to tear down. Like, one of the cool things that I see in Stargate that actually made me go, like, okay, this is actually a good show, is that they had to assault, like, this really well-defended Goa'uld planet. And, you know, you expect that they would send people through the Stargate. And this is what Teal also says. It's like, oh, like, if you send anyone, they will be slaughtered. But what they do is, like, no, they send a drone first, and the drone has aerial reconnaissance, and the drone gets to see the entire battlefield from the top. And then the drone just laser designates the targets, and they just fire missiles through the target. And I was like, well, that's so fucking cool. Like, that's what probably the military in our world would do. I mean, that makes sense. Why send people when you have access to that technology? Yeah, so they literally just throw, you know, just, the Goa'uld doesn't know Earth technology either, right? So, like, they're not prepared for it. And they just see, like, little missiles coming from the Stargate and taking out their point defenses. It was really cool. Yeah, no, Stargate was great. That's a universe that I definitely cannot tear down. And after that, I would say Warhammer 40k, close follow-up. The Trench Crusaders, I wanted to not be able to tear down. But, like, for those of you who don't know what the Trench Crusader is, okay, so it's actually, like, a really cool premise, but I think it's going to stay like that. I think it's going to just stay a premise because there's no way they're not going to find a way to pause it. Like, they will wokeify the living shit out of it. I already saw the community managers and the people that are running this. There is absolutely no way that it's not going to get updated for a modern audience. So basically, Trench Crusaders is a World 1 setting with the forces of hell. So this is an alternate universe setting in which the first Crusaders, they opened the gates of Gehenna. They committed the ultimate heresy after invading Jerusalem, and they opened the gates of hell. So the forces of hell poured in. And ever since that day, humanity has been at war with the forces of Satan. And there's, like, different factions. You have the Sultanate, which is the indestructible wall with two horns that pierce the sky. And they have like these really cool Prince of Persia type units. These very, very awesome Oriental inspired units. And they have like Magi and stuff. And they have like the half crescents and the Janissaries. It's a really great faction. But they also hate the church because like the church is the one that committed the ultimate heresy, right? And then you have the church itself, which is Christianity. They got like these really cool units as well, like inspired from the Inquisition, and they have like these sexy nuns. And the units are really cool. Like they have these monks that apparently have trained themselves to hear the actual word of God, but the word of God is not meant for humans to hear. So like it actually limits their lifespan, right? So not everyone wants to be like one of those monks, but it also gives them the ability to have a little bit of foresight into the future. Like they predict where the bullets will come from because they hear the word of God warning them. It's like, like this really cool faction basically. And they're fighting against the forces of hell, right? So they're fighting against heretics and actual demons. And when you look at the lore, it's just grim dark. The worst monstrosities you can imagine. So now comes the question, can we have communists in this universe? So like the factions, again, the factions are the Sultanate, the Christians, and you have also the Jewish, you have the Hebrew faction. They haven't touched that for some fucking reason. But it would be cool to see how it looks like. Anyway, right, so you have like these forces fighting against literal hell, like literally against the gates of Gehenna. And can we have communists? And I'm thinking, motherfucker, no. Like, from a lore perspective, okay? Like, this is not our world. Like, in our world, you don't know if God exists, right? Like, you genuinely have no physical evidence besides belief, besides faith. In that universe, like, the devil is real. Like, you actually get to see that heretics are real. Like, the gates of Gehenna have opened. You know that there are demons, and you know that God is real. You know that angels are real, and you know that they get to save you from the motherfuckers that are coming, not just to kill you, but to take your soul, right? So, how would you possibly have communists? Like, someone that would say, I guess, well, like, what can God do against Satan? No, we're going to create our own secular religion. I don't know, like, these people, if they can't inject their politics in a universe, they're not happy, whether or not it makes sense or not. And they're like, oh, well, why is fascism the answer? Like, again, you read the forums, and these are the people that the developers are humoring, right? Like, if you're a person like Arch, the developers, like, they don't like you. They don't like you, but instead, like, they're humoring the people. It's like, why is fascism the answer? And it's like, motherfucker, the premise of the universe, like, they literally cannot separate. They're incapable. Like, this is the essence of a low IQ person. They are incapable of separating fact from fiction. Like, if I, for 1 second, thought that this is real, I wouldn't consume this type of content. Like, if I wasn't able to tell that this is fictional, I wouldn't even touch it with a 10-foot pole. You know what I do? I don't watch gore videos, right? Like, I don't watch Mexican cartel chainsaw shit. I don't watch that. I don't like that, right? Because I know it's real. Like, I know somewhere out there someone suffered. This is not real. This is fiction, right? So I wanted to stay as such. So I can, like, immerse myself in a fictional universe and enjoy it. Because otherwise I wouldn't. Like, if I knew for a second that this is real, I wouldn't enjoy it. It's like watching war footage. I don't want to do that. But anyway, right, so this is the fictional universe, right? And this is the good guys. And they're fighting against stuff more monstrous than this. Like, in this situation, yeah, fascism is probably acceptable. Like, we saw what happened in the pandemic. We saw how quickly all the leftists were cheating for the governments to crack down even more on their rights. Right? And the pandemic was the sniffles. We're not talking about the gates of Gehenna opening wide. Whatever. It is what it is. I mean, what can you say? It's just, what the fuck? Like, these people, I don't understand them. Fascism bad. Okay, so what would you do? Unironically, I think they would be like, heretics are welcome here. Like, they would have those pancards. They would literally be like, yeah, you know what? Stop calling them demons. That's offensive. It's so bizarre that these individuals have so much public approval. I'm just shocked. Shocked, I'm telling you. Shocked. It's not that they have public approval. I guess, like, they're being humored is the word that I'm looking for. Yeah, like, they're being humored. Like, what? Why are people humoring them? And ironically, science did prove some events from the Bible, and the scientists hid the research. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bible got some things right. I mean, for instance, like, one of the things that is quite common, like, this is shockingly common in almost every single religion out there, right? So the Greeks have it, the Romans have it, I think, Christianity has it. What else was there? I wonder if the Norse have it. I'm not sure. But they all have the flood. Like, the flood is a very common occurrence in many religions throughout the world. Now there are several explanations for why this might be. The first one is that it was an original story by one religion and other religions copied it. Because, I mean, that's possible. You know, IP theft wasn't very well enforced in ancient times. So, like, one religion came up with the concept and it was really cool, and other people say, yeah, that's a nice story, like, let's put it in. Another explanation is, like, maybe something of the event like a flood actually did happen. And many people talked about it, you know, like, back then you didn't have the internet or TV. So, like, word of mouth carried it, and someone could say, yeah, like, my great-great-grandfather told me. You know, well, my great-great-grandfather did that. It's like, how do you know? Well, my grandfather told me that his grandfather, you know, it's like kind of like that. The Japanese too. Yeah. Like, the problem with the flood happening, though, is that there's not enough water, apparently. Like, to cover the earth with the requirement of water that the flood did, which is, like, to cover, like, the tallest mountain, I guess, is not scientifically possible. So there are two explanations. Number one, the flood wasn't really that bad. So, like, it was a lot of water. It did cover a lot of things, but it didn't actually cover Mount Everest. Okay? The escape from the flood is also not scientifically possible. Like, if you're talking about the entire Earth getting covered with water, like, even if you somehow survive that, like, let's say you have the Ark. When you get out of the Ark, everything is dead. Like, even if you have, like, two of each, that's not enough genetic diversity in order to repopulate the Earth, right? So then you also have, like, okay, well, if the flood is taller than the highest mountain, like, Noah would have needed an oxygen mask in order to survive at those heights. Like, we're talking about Mount Everest, right? Like, the air there is too thin. Like, there's a series of illnesses that he would encounter. So, okay, like, the only thing you can assume is that there was a flood, but it wasn't that bad. But it was bad enough that a lot of people got freaked out by it. So maybe it was, like, a time when you had, like, a lot of rains and floods and tsunamis and shit. But, like, it wasn't worldwide. But it was, like, bad enough that a lot of people got traumatized by it and wrote it into... Yeah, people say that it's the Tammuz. Yeah, it's possible. I don't know. Chaos is the one true faith. Well, in French Crusaders, there are people that do side with the heretics, so... I went through a flood, and it was larger than our perspective. Everything was flooded as far as the eye can see. Yeah, I guess, like, if you're you know, in a ancient culture where the tallest building is something with one floor, right? A really nasty flood that makes you sit on top of a tree to survive, I mean, it can look devastating. So if enough people go through that and, you know, they tell their grandchildren, it's like, oh, it was so bad, like, and people like exaggerating, right? So you tell your story, like let's say you go through a flood that's really bad, so you have to sit on the roof of your house. right? And then when you tell the story, you exaggerate a little bit, and you're like, well, it was taller than the house. The water level was so high that I sit in a tree. And the other person says, yeah, like it was the largest tree that we could find, and we all gathered, and it basically like everyone that tells the story exaggerates it a little bit more. So maybe that's how you end up with the flood. Anyway. The Aztecs had the flood story. Yeah, I think this is the most reasonable explanation that I could find. Like, any culture experiences a flood. Like, there were some really nasty floods in Romania a couple of years ago. And if you survive that, you probably can make a really compelling story about how devastating it was and how the world fell apart. Because from your point of view, it did, even though, like, people that were 100 kilometers away didn't care about that. Halo had the flood. That is true. My God, the flood from Halo, another antagonist that's incredibly overpowered. Like you really cannot. Yeah. Okay. So I did get a lot of DMs, and I did manage to get people to point out that in Nikke, the designer, the artist, did make a shit post, and it does look like the girls can have a vibrator. But it's kind of hidden enough so that if you don't know what you're looking for, like if you don't watch a lot of cam girl content, which I assume some of you guys did, since you're pointing it out, like I unironically don't know I mean, I know how a dildo looks like, but I've never seen a vibrator in my life. But the artist probably did. And they did put this shit post. It's kind of like Disney used to have like these dildos hidden, like the Little Mermaid actually had the castle, and one of the artists hid a penis inside the castle. Like one of the towers looked like a penis, and it's basically like the artist shit posting. So yeah, I do agree. I did manage to see it now. Yeah, it's but it's very okay. Hold on, I think I can show it, right? So this is what people are talking about. Like you have the character, and she's got like this little device, and this is what people say that the artist used to shitpost. But I don't know, like if this was what upset YouTube though, because like it like unless you know what I still don't know if it's true or not. Unironically, like it looks like a little bunny with a string attached, and it's going nowhere. Like it's on her leg. So, if anything, yeah, like it may be an artist shitpost. See, I don't really watch OnlyFans content to know. I need to catch up with the chat. Why is the chat scrolling all the way up now? God damn it, YouTube is annoying. Like I closed the page a little bit, and now the chat has to refresh. So I can't really see what you guys are saying. It's an ankle monitor. Oh. Is it literally nothing? No, it's not a genital area. It's, at least on that character, it's on the leg. Yeah, on Soda and Alice, it's a little bit upwards. It's kind of on the side. Like, it looks like a keychain. This is what I was saying. But, again, the reason for this passing the sensor is that it's so niche. That unless you're a complete degenerate, I ironically didn't know. Like, I didn't see it. But, like, people are sending it this, that they're making a circle around it, and I'm like, okay, I guess. Yeah, it could literally be a leg bracer. Like, it's... But it's a shitpost, right? Like, if it can be either or, then the artist just went out of his way in order to make it like that. If the land and ocean floor were level, the entire world would be covered in water right now. Maybe mountains were formed during the flood. I have no idea, man. It's just like weird. Apparently, scientists say that there's not enough water to cover the earth, but like if you say it is, then fine, whatever. It does seem like bullcrap, but like I'll have to do research. I'll have, after this, unironically, I'm genuinely curious, and I'll ask someone like, hey, show me how the actual thing looks like in real life so I can compare it with the cartoon. Why even talk about it? Because it would be funny if a company managed to sneak something past the Apple sensor. Like, the Apple company is renowned for going ham on anything remotely lewd. So if an artist actually managed to sneak something past, that would be hilarious. I've discussed with some people, and since that DEI ESG agenda could inevitably lead to another market crash, I'm not sure if this would happen. The market crash is going to happen regardless of DEI or not, and that is due to the fact that the current system is unsustainable. Like any economist will tell you this. It's probably why they're trying to push CBDC so fast. Because if you get a market crash, it's going to be bad. Like, we're talking people going hungry, people not being able to pay the bills. When that happens, when people are hungry, they usually riot, you know? So if you have CBDC, it's a great way to make sure that people don't really rise up, right? But regarding, like, DEI, like it's obvious that companies that are benefiting from DEI are going to perform poorly. And this is due to the fact that DEI is just nepotism. Like, it literally happened in Soviet Union. Like, in Soviet Union, you'd have someone incompetent, but he was the son's boss, right? So the boss had the son, which was incompetent and arrogant and a cheeky little shit. But now the boss puts that son in charge of the factory. And the son is incompetent, and, you know, the workers know it. They make fun of him. The son gets upset. So he snaps at the workers. Eventually, you know, the fighting start to happen based on drama rather than on performance. So you now have people that are really good engineers. They're getting fired because they started drama with the son's boss. And eventually the factory stops producing, right? And it's when it's one factory, it's one thing. But when it's like factories across the Soviet Union, it adds up to the economic collapse. It's not due to this, but like this played a part. Like corruption and nepotism, really big reason why the Soviet economy wasn't doing great before the Iron Curtain collapsed. Now, with that out of the way, what is DEI? Well, it's the same shit, but instead of putting the boss's son, you now put the friend of the HR lady, right? Like, they're not going to put a black person like Candace Owens. They're not going to put a woman like, what was her name? The Star Wars chick. Whatever. Like, they're not going to put right-wingers, even if they're black, even if they're diverse. No, like, they want leftists. And they would put someone that's incompetent, as long as they fit the criteria, as long as they fit the checkbox. So you have incompetent people at the company, and they start drama with competent people, because competent people do not like someone incompetent to loom over them. But this is what happens. So the competent people end up quitting, getting fired, and you get more incompetence. And eventually the company crashes. Yeah, so like you will get a market crash from this. And take into account, like, what exactly is DEI? Like, what is its purpose? Why does it exist? Well, it exists because companies that lend money, so hedge funds and banks, what they want to know is a risk assessment. Like, if we lend money to this company, how likely are we to get it back? And obviously they can't predict the future. But what they can do is they try to assess the risk. They can have, like, some smart economists go like, all right, well, we made, like, a chart. And basically, what we think on the patterns that we're seeing and what we think on what we experienced previously is that if a company behaves this way, it's very likely to give revenue in the future, right? So, like, they're playing it safe. They're not taking risks. They're into an industry that's growing right now. Okay? So, like, this is how banks used to do risk assessment. Now, the way they do risk assessment is through ESG, right? So they're saying, oh, well, if this company pisses people off on Twitter, then you're going to have activists boycotting it. So, you know, you need to raise the social credit high. You know, the company needs to champion causes that young people like. It needs to be environmental because, again, young people care about the environment. So if the company starts polluting, then it's not sustainable, right? Like all this shit that has nothing to do with if a company is profitable or not. So you now have all these banks investing in companies that may or may not be profitable because the system they're using to assess doesn't actually assess what it's supposed to assess. So when a company goes bankrupt, like for instance, you had that bank in California that everyone got upset that it went down. I forgot the fucking name of it, but it happened at the beginning of the year. It was like this massive Californian bank where all the leftists and all of the startups and all of the ESG people were pumping their money in it. And bank goes down. Who's going to take the loss? Well, the government stepped in. Oh, okay. So in other words, your taxpayer money. So to answer, will there be a crash? Well, probably not. They're going to bail them up like Obama did. It's a two-tier system, right? Like if you start your company, if you start your business, and yeah, Silicon Valley Bank, yeah, literally that. But if you start your business and you fail at your business and you go bankrupt, the government isn't going to bail you out. They don't give a shit. In fact, they're going to come and, start selling stuff from your house if you don't have everything in order, right? So, like, that's what happens if you do it. If a hedge fund does it and they fuck up, then the government just takes taxpayer people money and they press the reset button. They're like, let's build back better. So, in other words, capitalism for you, socialism for them. When they get to make money, they get to keep the money. When they get to lose money, the government bails them out. With you, it's the opposite. When you make money, the government taxes and regulates you. Oil was literally negatively priced for a few years ago. No. I actually know why oil was negatively priced. Like that was actually as intended, believe it or not. So the reason oil was negatively priced was due to the fact that during the pandemic, they actually stopped a lot of the sectors, right? So they stopped air travel, they stopped the quarantine, especially in Europe. They stopped people driving cars, right? Like they stopped a lot of the industry. Meanwhile, the people producing the oil, they were constantly producing it, and they were stacking it in warehouses, and they were putting the barrels, and the barrels just kept stacking because the production didn't stop. But they had so much oil that they couldn't get rid of it, and to get rid of it, they would have to hire someone to literally throw it away. So that's why it was negatively priced, because every barrel that they produced would cost them money because they had nothing to do with it, because the economy wasn't demanding. So the supply literally went down because like people not driving their cars to work, not driving their cars to get out of the house, because the quarantine, the requirement for oil went down. So that's one of the reasons why oil was negatively priced. Be nice if we all at once stop tolerating the two-tier system. Well, people did. Like, that's what Occupy Wall Street was. It's like the left and the right allied together in order to basically say, like, you're going to stop stealing from us. And that's when the woke ideology came. It's like, oh, yes, we're all Occupy Wall Street, but we want the white people to go into the back, right? White men to the back. We want the people in the wheelchair to talk first, and then we want to acknowledge that we're here on stolen land. And, like that's what literally destroyed Occupy Wall Street. And as you look at the newspapers, and as you look at what happens, like, all of a sudden, racism becomes the top trending topic in the United States. Sexism follows, and all the woke nonsense comes from that. The pink things on Nikke's are bandages to get into the event and the shows that they participate in. Yeah, but at the same time, it can be a shitpost, right? Anyway, right, I'll end it here. I need to go upload the videos on my other channel, so hopefully this was entertaining for you guys. And I cheered your day. Did I cheer your day? I hope I cheered your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.